Hey, it's Aham Collector here, and today's video we're going to take a look at the 2-pound F card of Mathias Sellmaier. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So right at the top here, we have a really cool, two portrait photos of Mathias here, one of him in his priestly robes, one of him in his Gebirgs Division uniform. And moving to the bottom, Pray Brothers for the Reverend Mr. Mathias Sellmaier, a Sanitate soldat in a Gebirgs Division regiment, born on January 22nd, 1914, in Ryssen in the parish of Eiting. Ordained a priest on June 25th, 1939, in Friesing. A curate in Lengries and Muhldorf, a curate being a priestess in charge of a parish, who died a hero's death in the East on November 3rd, 1941. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to find a casualty record for Mathias. However, Volksbund notes that his place of death is Sloboda Vosnesenskaya Nowo Pawlowka, which is a mouthful. And the only other reference I was able to find during my research was that his name is recorded on a monument in the St. Nicholas Church in Muhldorf am Inn. And what's interesting about this memorial is that it lists that he was a chaplain. Now, I don't think that is correct for a few reasons. One being that he's listed here as a Sanitate soldat, or, a medic, basically, and not as a chaplain, but also his uniform here does not have the correct identification for a chaplain. Now, as I've talked in a few other videos, becoming a chaplain in the German army during World War II was very difficult, purposely so. However, a lot of priests and monks would end up joining the military or being drafted and serving as unofficial chaplains. So it's possible that Mathias, in a letter home, had mentioned that, hey, I'm, doing confession for these guys, saying mass, whatever it was that he was doing, and they took that as him being a chaplain. Because commanders in the field kind of had freedom. If a priest came to them and said, hi, I would like to, spiritually console the men, in my free time, as long as it doesn't interfere with my duties, a commander could go, yeah, that's fine, and allow them to do that. So it's possible he was acting in that kind of capacity. Now, unfortunately, because I didn't find a casualty record, I was at a bit of a loss trying to figure out what unit he was in. However, I knew from previous research that the 1st and 4th Gebirgs Divisions were in Ukraine, southern Russia, around the time that he was killed. His card notes he was a Gebirgsjäger, so I started digging. Went through the book I had for the 1st Gebirgs Division, didn't seem to really line up, and then I found in this book here, Gebirgssoldaten unter dem Zeichen des Enzian, or, the unit history of the 4th Gebirgs Division, specifically on, here we go, page 146. We have this really nice map on the Mius River there, and as you can see, there is Nowo Pawlowka. So it seems that he was either in the 91st or 13th Gebirgs regiments. Really can't tell which one specifically, but I'm fairly certain that this was it, because everything lines up. This is a map where they were fighting from October 31st through November 2nd. He was killed November 3rd. So everything there seems to really line up with the card. Now, I did translate a few of the paragraphs. There wasn't any specific blow-by-blow of the battles, but there was a nice broad overview that was included. So according to the book here, the 4th Gebirgs Division was tasked with establishing bridgeheads on the east bank of the Mius near Nowo Pawlowka. However, this was easier said than done, as the river itself formed a deep cut in the terrain there, with some very considerable bank heights. This obstacle was also the last favorable defensive position for the Russians before the Donets. Taking all this into account, the Gebirgsjägers prepared themselves for a correspondingly difficult crossing of the bank. And indeed, the enemy defended itself on the Mius with incredible doggedness, not least because the weather was increasingly appearing as an ally. The 4th Gebirgs Division did indeed pursue the enemy with its 2 Gebirgsjäger regiments on the night of October 31st to November 1st, 1941, but without any notable success. The Russians not only defended themselves with the utmost tenacity, but also counterattacked themselves. But their actions failed due to the resistance of the Jaegers, especially the 91st Gebirgsjäger Regiment, which held the bridgehead at Yelisavetovsky. This situation had hardly been resolved by the German Gebirgsjägers when a new danger threatened, this time from the Italians, who were far behind on the left flank of the Mius front. Due to the unclear enemy situation, the 49th Gebirgs Army Corps ordered the 4th Gebirgs Division to stop the attack and go on the defensive. A battle report from the 13th Gebirgsjäger Regiment, which was determined to expand the Kiagenevka bridgehead, is full of bitterness. Thus, the bridgehead at Kiagenevka over the Mius, which was achieved through the prudence, boldness, and unshakable will to win of every single Jaeger, was denied great success. According to the leadership of the 4th Gebirgs Division, the 49th Gebirgs Army Corps did not make sufficient use of the favorable tactical situation that existed. However, it must be said that the operational thoughts were directed toward the area around Jakovo. The losses of the 13th Gebirgs Jaeger Regiment were heavy due to the strong enemy artillery. 3 officers, 204 non-commissioned officers and men were killed, and 39 infantrymen and senior infantrymen were killed. Winter came suddenly, earlier than usual, the Germans noted bitterly, bringing bitter cold, sharp easterly winds, and lots of snow. The freezing, icy Buran roared across the vast land, often turning into a raging hurricane. A wintry blanket deformed the landscape. The contours often blurred. The landscape became more uniform, more consistent, and clear. Meager huts gave the Gebirgs Jaegers accommodation when they were not on guard duty or on reconnaissance patrols. Meanwhile, their comrades in the flak guns secured the airspace against enemy aircraft. So yeah, even though nothing specifically for the day of November 3rd, when Mathias was killed, we have a pretty good idea. There's vicious fighting going on the Mius River, and at this point, the first winter on the Eastern Front is starting to set in. So, like I said, even though I can't say for certain what unit he was in, given the heavy casualties suffered by the 13th, it seems possible he could have been with them, but as you saw on the map, the 91st was also there. So it's really impossible to say with any certainty. Now moving to the back of the card here. Christ's mother presses the wounds. Your son felt for me deeply in my soul. All the blood he shed, he has died for me. Don't let it be lost. Mother of love, pain, and mercy, pray for us. So yeah, overall, really interesting card. Even though, like I said, we couldn't find a casualty record, still had some really good context for what was going on at the time Mathias was killed, and I'm fairly certain he was in the 4th Gebirgs Division in one of those 2 regiments. So yeah, overall, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.